Woody Harrelson does the old grizzled coach bit as he helps a team of underdog Special Olympics players in Champions. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Champions. This is in theaters right now and it is directed by Bobby Farrelly, one of course, the two Farrelly brothers, and they've been striking out a little bit on their own lately, but this is his directorial debut, and he's worked with Woody Harrelson before, with his brother, for example, in the movie Kingpin, one of my favorite underrated comedies of the 90s. People don't talk about that one enough, but that was a Farrelly brothers film back in the day. So before we get to the new movie Champions, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. Lots of great TV and movie stuff for you to peruse, and please consider subscribing down below there. Would love to have you aboard in that capacity. All right, so the movie Champions is a remake of a 2018 film in Spanish language. I did not see that. I was actually completely unfamiliar with it. But this came on my radar a few weeks ago when Woody Harrelson hosted SNL. He had mentioned it, and I'm always a fan of his. In fact, I've been going through, since Kirstie Alley died last fall, I've been going through the old Cheers episodes, currently on season 8. So it's interesting to see, Woody Harrelson doing Woody Boyd from 35 at this point years ago, and then to see him hosting SNL and to see him in this movie, and to see him in the recent movie Triangle of Sadness as well. So definitely a long career for Woody Harrelson, and we love it. He always does a great job here, though. It's perhaps a type of role that we've seen so many times before. I said it up top. It's sort of the grizzled coach routine. We see this over and over again every year. There's one or two of these movies where an A-list actor, last year, or maybe it was the year before, it was Ben Affleck in The Way Back, which was a really good, underrated movie there. But in any event, he gets trapped with this sort of DUI thing. He hits a cop car, and so instead of going to jail, they sentence him to a bunch of community service, and specifically to help out this team of fledgling intellectual disability players that are sort of Special Olympics caliber. I don't know if it's a little bit unclear on the movie, at least from what I could tell, whether they actually ever played in the Special Olympics or what the story was. But anyway, but they did mention the Special Olympics a couple times, and so he ends up, coaching this team, and obviously, there's some challenges that come with that, but also, he does not initially want to do it, and then learns to love the players, etc. So, and then Caitlin Olsen plays the sister of one of the players, and of course, love her from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I would love to see her doing more film work and TV work, too. I mean, she had a series called The Mick for a couple seasons that was very funny. But in any event, she is a little bit more dramatic here. I think she probably is, one of the comedic centers of the movie, but I think she is definitely stretching her acting abilities a little bit here from what we've kind of seen from her in the past, which is cool. She does have a great scene where she gets to kind of go a little bit nutso on one of the characters, and she goes into a little bit of a Dee Reynolds from Always Sunny motif there. But I would have maybe liked to see more of that in this movie, because the humor in the movie is a little bit scattershot, and I did like that scene. But in any event, all of the players with intellectual disabilities, are that way in real life, which is good. Obviously, I think we're to a point here where, the I Am Sam and Forrest Gump kind of thing doesn't really fly anymore, having A-list actors portray that. But the Farrelly brothers did another movie several years ago, probably at this point about 20 years ago, called The Ringer, with Johnny Knoxville, where he pretends to have a disability to get into the Special Olympics. And, Special Olympics approved of that movie, and they worked with the Farrelly brothers. And I don't know if it's just Bobby or if both the Farrelly brothers have worked, though, with special needs people for a long time, decades. And so it makes sense that he would be the one to kind of bring this one to the table. In both The Ringer, and I haven't seen The Ringer in a long, long time, but in both The Ringer and in this, there's definitely not a sort of let's poke fun at these people. Let's, make them the butt of the jokes. They tell some of the jokes for sure. But I think this is one of the, in terms of especially like a comedy type movie, one of the most realistic portrayals of people with intellectual disabilities. I think it's really great how they get some laughs from this movie, but it's not at their expense. Some of the people are, pretty competent comedic actors. They're sort of patter and their sort of what do you call it, like the way that they're speaking, the pacing, they sort of land jokes in this movie, and it's pretty good. And of course Woody Harrelson, he's usually pretty funny in a movie like this, but I think and I think this was a conscious choice both on his and Farrelly's part, but to sort of step back a bit from him doing a bunch of punchlines and jokes and letting sort of the rest of the cast kind of take the lead on that. I mean, he's almost the straight man in this. And whenever they do try to kind of overly push a joke with Woody Harrelson's character, I do feel like not that it's forced, but it just doesn't land all that well. Because we've seen this character so many times. So I think it was best to sort of let everybody else kind of take the lead on that. Also in this movie, I should mention that Cheech Marin plays sort of the head of the department or the whatever the gym or whatever where they practice, and the group, I guess, on the whole, because a lot of them live in sort of a group home, and he's sort of, I guess, the leader of that. But then also you have Ernie Hudson as one of the old coach pals of the Woody Harrelson character, and they go back a ways. They have a big fight in the beginning, so we sort of established that. But he shows up sporadically in the movie as well. So look, this movie I certainly has its heart in the right place. I don't think anybody could deny that. Watching this movie, we are not poking fun at anybody. It is just a good sort of a feel good movie, but how does it land sort of elsewhere? And that's what gets me a little bit cold about the movie. Certainly the heart is in the right place, but I'm not sure if the humor does land all the time. The grizzled coach routine, like I said, we've seen it over and over again. I'm not sure that this one, other than the Special Olympics angle, brings anything new to the table. Most interesting, maybe for me, was that relationship between the Harrelson and the Olsen characters, because they end up sort of getting very, very close in the movie, and I wanted to maybe explore that a little bit more, even because it was something a little bit different than just, okay, he's a washed up coach and he's been charged with doing this for community service. All right. But what else is new about that? Not much, really. If this was a laugh out loud riot of a movie, I think the grade would be higher. As it is, it's just merely passable, but you can't deny that its heart is in the right place. And certainly if there's somebody in your life with special needs, as there is in my life, several people really, but I think this could be one to watch with that person. Yeah, it's a little bit bawdy with the humor. I think it's R-rated. I believe there's a number of F-bombs in this. So depending on their sensibilities, which is another factor. They could have toned it down a little bit. I know the Farrelly brothers love to push the envelope with that sort of, sex talk and language and stuff. But it maybe could have been toned down a little bit for a PG-13 for, the right audience going into this movie. And maybe it is PG-13, I can't remember. But anyway, there's a lot of like frank sex talk and stuff. Anyway, so I'm not sure it's going to be for everybody with those sensibilities. But I think if the person in your life maybe that has an intellectual disability can handle that sort of language and stuff, I say go for it, because the heart certainly is in the right place. I leave Champions with a C+. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see everybody next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.